Right now at 6, threats in the Northwest against the Muslim community. The message this evening from local faith leaders.
The real best thing you can do is speak out and speak out up and be strong.
Plus, surging support to keep TriMet riders safe.
I am also announcing that I am increasing deputy sheriffs and supervisors to the Transit Police Division.
The plan to put more patrols and prosecutors on the transit beat.
And bring in plenty of souls back to Old Town.
This is it. This is the one. It has everything you want to ask for.
The new sneaker store that's looking to kickstart a neighborhood comeback. Thanks for joining us. I'm David Molko.
And I'm Laurel Porter, and we begin with fast-moving developments tonight in the Middle East, where hundreds are believed to have been killed after a massive blast at a hospital in Gaza, where thousands of evacuees from northern Gaza were sheltering. Palestinian leaders are blaming Israel for the attack, while Israeli leaders say the explosion was a result of a misfired rocket by a jihadist group inside Gaza. Israeli intelligence is now sharing information about the explosion with American intelligence that it says backs up its claim.
And that explosion set off unrest inside Gaza, the West Bank, and in Lebanon, where protesters gathered outside the U.S. Embassy near Beirut. This all comes with President Biden now on board Air Force One en route to Tel Aviv. He plans to meet with the Israeli Prime Minister in a show of solidarity. Though in the aftermath of the Gaza hospital blast, a stop in Amman to meet with the leaders of Jordan, Egypt, and the Palestinian Authority has now been canceled.
Here in the U.S., the director of the FBI says the agency is seeing an increase in reported threats against both Jewish and Muslim Americans since the start of the war 10 days ago. Our Alma McCarty joins us now with one of the most recent examples. Alma?
Well, David, Laurel, in a message posted Monday on the Islamic Society of Greater Portland's website, organization leaders say they are deeply saddened and concerned by the recent threats directed at our community members. They went on to write, our primary concern is the safety and well-being of all, and that they've reported that threat to local law enforcement, ending the message by urging everyone to promote understanding and peace during these challenging times. And remember, violence and hatred solve nothing. This amid those growing tensions in the Middle East as the Israel-Hamas war rages on. I spoke with Corey Saylor, who is part of the Council on American Islamic Relations. He says there's been a wave of incidents from targeted threats to actual violence. On Saturday near Chicago, a 6-year-old Palestinian-American boy died after he was stabbed to death in an anti-Muslim attack, according to officials. Saylor says that horrific crime speaks volumes.
Islamophobia is just sort of waiting for a switch to flip. And we're sort of right back to where we were when, for instance, Donald Trump announced that he was planning on banning Muslims from this country. So we're right there again. We're getting waves of incidents. The anti-Arab bias is shocking. The anti-Muslim bias is shocking. And it didn't take very much. So it makes you wonder, where have we come as a nation at this point in time?
We reached out directly to ISGP to learn more about that specific threat. No one with the organization responded to our requests for comment or interview at this time. Locally, Portland's special agent in charge says the FBI is increasing engagement with religious and community partners and is working to come up with solutions so we don't, quote, let something tragic happen in our own backyard. David?
Yeah. Hate has no place. Thank you, Alma. Appreciate that. Let's get to your headlines this evening. Oregon Congresswoman Lori Chavez DeRemer has joined 19 other Republicans blocking Representative Jim Jordan in his bid to become House Speaker. The GOP's razor-thin majority means Jordan can only afford to lose a handful of votes from his party. In a statement, Chavez DeRemer said she is, quote, deeply concerned that the chaos of the last few weeks would only continue if Jordan becomes Speaker, end quote. A second vote has now been put off until tomorrow.
More than 1,300 Peace Health workers in Southwest Washington say they stand to lose their health insurance if they go on strike as planned on Monday. The union representing tech, service, and maintenance workers in Vancouver and lab workers in Longview say management made the threat after walking away from the bargaining table. Workers are seeking pay and staffing increases. The union also said Peace Health is offering to pay replacement workers well above what its members are currently making.
In Canby, the school district has banned one book and reportedly restricted 4 to older readers. We have reported how the 1950s novel Lolita was pulled from shelves. Now, according to the Oregonian, 3 books in the Court of Thorns and Roses series and a book called Out of Darkness will only be available in high school libraries. Back in March, the district temporarily pulled 36 books written primarily by Black, Latina, and LGBTQ+ women after complaints by some parents.
Have you noticed the Willamette River is looking a little on the green side the last couple of days? That green scum is not harmful, according to a spokesperson with the Department of Environmental Quality. Recent rains dislodged plants. The DEQ and the Oregon Health Authority believe the plants grew like weeds in a low spot of the river over the summer, and then the recent rains swept them out into the river.
I thought it was algae bloom until you pointed it out, but it seems like it's kind of dispersing a little bit and not as intense as the algae blooms.
While you can still see it, it's starting to break apart along some parts of the river. Matt?
Thanks, Laurel. We've got some great weather on the way, and in fact, look at the sunset underway out at the Dalles. Our camera out in the Oregon Veteran Zone. Really nice break in the clouds, but there have been clouds. 64 degrees there right now. We look at Doppler radar. Whole mess of rain moving into western Washington and Vancouver Island. What about Oregon? Well, the closest it's come to us is actually just east of the Dalles. Maybe a sprinkle making it just south of the Columbia River there, but most of that probably not even reaching the ground, and that's about it for rainfall for the rest of the week. Now, the clouds extend south. Just beyond Mount Hood, you're looking south from our camera there at the beautiful Timberline Lodge towards Mount Jefferson, the Three Sisters, and you can see the clear sky farther south you go. So again, it's looking pretty good around Oregon. We're just in the cloud right now. We'll have a different kind of cloud tomorrow morning like we had this morning in the form of fog. And some of that may be thick and dense, could slow down the commute for a bit, but it burns off. And then tomorrow's like today, except we don't get the afternoon clouds and we'll get warmer up to 74 tomorrow afternoon. So some really great fall weather with dry days ahead. Morning fog may be thick at times. May get a bit colder next week. More on that later. Laurel, David, back to you.
Thanks so much, Matt. Let's get to a renewed effort this evening to boost security on board public transit and streamline prosecutions of those accused of committing crimes.
Thomas Schultz joins us from the MAX station in Goose Hollow. Thomas, how many more deputies or officers are we talking about?
Well, David and Laurel, it's not a ton right now. Multnomah County has added a sergeant and 2 deputies to transit police, and this comes as the district attorney's office adds a second deputy district attorney to focus on those cases as well. This is all part of an effort to crack down on crime and make sure that prosecutions are happening efficiently. Officials admit there's a problem. Crime committed on TriMet goes unprosecuted too often. Though now,
you're going to see more presence on the system.
They hope more staff will allow for more patrols, efficient investigations, and increased prosecutions.
These resources will help streamline investigations while also freeing up our transit police officers to be more visible on our transit system and around our transit locations.
It's all a part of TriMet's plan to beef up security.
We have now over 315 security staff out there as a response to our riders who want to see more presence out there on the system.
315, more than double what they had a year ago. And TriMet Chief Safety Officer Andrew Wilson says TriMet has doubled its security staff budget since 2020, though it has lost much of its police presence. Now, right now, TriMet says that it has budgeted 65 positions for its transit police force, though less than a third of those are currently filled. Just 18 law enforcement officers staffed, who are contracted from surrounding agencies. Though when those departments are understaffed, they don't have the manpower to help TriMet.
We've struggled to get those numbers back up post-COVID in particular.
5 years ago, Wilson says TriMet had all 65 positions booked. There were once deputies from Clackamas and Washington County too, though now numbers dwindle. And while there's a long way to go to fully staff transit police, officials hope a few more members will help.
It is our hope that transit police will continue to grow.
Grow along with convictions. In the past year, a deputy district attorney who we spoke with, who's the one focusing on the TriMet cases, says he's seen anywhere from 100 to 130 felony cases. The idea is that adding that second deputy district attorney as well will result in smoother case is going to trial. David, Laurel.
Thank you, Thomas. And coming up on The Story, a Northeast Portland medical clinic that offers addiction services has become a neighborhood magnet for drug users.
Blair Best is in the newsroom right now with a preview. Blair.
There's no one explanation as to why drug users choose to gather where they do, but in this case, many hang out right outside the Blackburn Center in Northeast as they wait for a bed inside. Now, the Blackburn Center is a medical clinic offering addiction services. This is what things looked like outside the front door earlier today, and we're told more homeless people show up at night. Now, we watched people smoke meth right outside the entrance, and one man even said he's on the wait list to get inside and that he does drugs there until that happens. It's this type of activity, though, that's making neighbors feel unsafe.
I think it's horrible. You know, I mean, they're supposed to treat people for drugs, and it's available to them right outside. You know, it shouldn't be there at all.
Oh yeah, I've tried to get in here a few times. It's really difficult because they're backed up.
So Central City Concern runs the Blackburn Center, and they told us in a statement they're very aware of occasional drug use outside the center and that they're working to create a safe and welcoming environment. They also have their own security to mitigate open-air drug use. Now, you can catch my full report tonight on The Story at 6:30, where we look at the larger problem that this points to in Portland and what Multnomah County commissioners are now doing about it.
Thank you, Blair.